At Jefferson High School in a small town in Texas, the corridors echoed with the usual buzz of students chatting, lockers slamming, and the distant sound of music lessons. Among the many students and staff who walked the halls daily, few noticed Maria, a quiet 15-year-old girl who often stayed behind after school. Her mother worked as a janitor at the school, and Maria would usually wait for her to finish her shift before heading home. She would sit silently in the back of the music room, sketching in her notebook or listening to the faint notes coming from the piano or the guitars hanging on the wall. Maria had never taken any formal lessons, and no one ever thought to ask her if she was interested. Most students barely knew her name. Her clothes were simple, often second-hand, and she didn't talk much. The teachers, though polite, never really paid attention to her, assuming she was just another quiet kid waiting for a parent. But Maria had a secret. Every time the room was empty and the door was closed, she would pick up a guitar and let her fingers explore the strings. She had learned entirely by watching YouTube videos at night, using a cheap broken guitar her mum had found at a garage sale. Music became her escape, a language she could speak without fear, without judgment. One particular Thursday afternoon, the music teachers were packing up after a long day of classes and auditions for the school talent show. A few students were still lingering around, joking and chatting with the instructors. Maria was in the room, quietly sweeping near the chairs. One of the instructors, Mr. Kent, noticed her and, trying to be playful, or maybe condescending, held out one of the school's guitars and said, "Hey Maria, want to give it a try? Show us what you've got." A few students laughed, not out of cruelty, but more from the awkwardness of the moment. To them, the idea that the janitor's daughter might be able to play was almost absurd. Maria paused, unsure if he was serious or mocking her. The room went quiet for a second. Mr. Kent, sensing her hesitation, added with a smirk, "Come on, can't be worse than what we've heard today." Maria looked at the guitar, then at the people around her. Her heart pounded in her chest. She had never played in front of anyone. Still, something in her told her to go for it. Maybe it was the built-up frustration of being invisible for so long, or maybe it was just time. Slowly, she walked over, took the guitar gently from his hands, and sat down on the nearest chair. The room grew oddly quiet. The instructors waited, still half expecting a clumsy attempt or a few unsure strums. No one expected what would happen next. Maria adjusted the guitar on her lap, her fingers lightly touching the strings. For a moment, the room stood still, everyone watching with a mix of amusement and curiosity. A few students leaned against the wall, whispering to each other, while Mr. Kent and the other instructors waited, arms crossed, still half smiling. No one expected more than a beginner's attempt, maybe some basic chords or an awkward melody. But the moment her fingers began to move, the entire atmosphere shifted. She didn't just play, she poured herself into the guitar. A slow, soulful melody filled the room, something raw and hauntingly beautiful. It wasn't a song they recognized, yet it felt like something they'd known forever. Her fingers moved with confidence, blending notes with flawless timing and emotion that could only come from deep understanding. Her expression remained calm, focused, as if the world around her didn't exist. There was no fear, no hesitation, just music. Mr. Kent's smirk faded instantly. His eyebrows furrowed as he watched her fingers fly across the fretboard with the kind of ease he had only seen in advanced students. The other instructors exchanged glances, stunned into silence. Even the students stopped fidgeting, their conversations dying out one by one as they slowly gathered around her. Maria continued to play, unaware of the attention, lost in her own rhythm, each note more powerful than the last. When she finally finished, she gently lifted her fingers from the strings and looked up. The room was completely still. Then, unexpectedly, someone clapped. Then another. And another. In seconds, the room burst into applause. A few students whistled. One girl murmured, "That was insane." Mr. Kent, now visibly humbled, took a step forward, still processing what he had just heard. "Maria," he said slowly. "Where did you learn to play like that?" Maria shrugged, looking down. "Just watching videos, practicing when no one was around." His voice softened, the earlier joking tone now replaced with genuine respect. "That wasn't just good, that was incredible. Have you ever played in front of an audience?" She shook her head. "No one's ever asked." The weight of those words landed hard in the room. No one's ever asked. Not once had anyone considered her potential simply because of who her mother was or how she blended into the background. The instructors looked at each other, visibly embarrassed. Their joke had backfired, revealing not just Maria's talent, but their own assumptions. By the next day, Maria's performance had become the talk of the school. Someone had recorded it, and the video was already spreading online. Teachers approached her with kindness. Students who had never spoken to her now nodded in the halls. Most importantly, Mr. Kent personally invited her to perform at the talent show. What began as a careless joke became the moment a hidden star was discovered, and the school learned a powerful lesson about seeing beyond appearances.